Welcome to the fifth and final video in the series we're doing for the Carnival of Weaning. In this last video, I've asked our mama friends to please share gentle weaning advice and wisdom with you. You know, breastfeeding is a relationship, and with the end of any relationship, it always helps it go more smoothly if both people are involved. So we hope that in this Carnival of Weaning, you can get some ideas on weaning that will let your little one get out of the relationship just as gently as you want to. I wish you all good luck, and I hope that you have felt supported and inspired by this series.
You know, even though I chose to let my daughter Abby self-wean, wean naturally from the breast, and she's still nursing at 3.5 years, I do have a little bit of weaning advice. I would say that it's important to go ahead and set gentle limits in order to make nursing comfortable for you. And I think that that actually facilitates the weaning process, because just as weaning begins naturally when a baby starts to eat more and more solid foods, weaning starts to happen behaviorally as the baby grows older and starts to understand limits both while nursing and while not nursing. Just as you might tell a child, we don't jump on the table, you can also tell a child, we don't pinch mommy's skin, or you know, we don't scratch mommy's face while the baby or toddler is nursing. I found that for me, it was very important to set gentle limits about physical contact when Abby and I were nursing, because she, as she grew, would start to scratch at my breast and scratch at my armpit area. It was very uncomfortable. So setting gentle limits was really important for me, comfort-wise, and I think that it does facilitate that weaning process for Abby, because now that she's starting to talk about nursing, talk about fore milk and hind milk as small milks, little milks, and big milks, and starting to talk about how if she does massage my armpit, she can get the big milks to flow. She has those gentle limits to stop her in her tracks so that she doesn't hurt me while she's nursing. And she starts to verbalize those limits and talk about nursing. And I feel like the fact that I set those limits early on and continued them to this point is going to be an important part of her transitioning out of nursing, you know, in her natural time frame.
All I can suggest is, if at all possible, to do it gradually. You know, maybe cut down on the amount of nursing you're doing, either the duration or the frequency or both. I've gotten my child, who's, you know, older and can understand a little more, trained to respond if I say, you know, that's enough. And he can say back to me, well, you know, it just started having milk. And then I can, you know, decide, okay, yes, you can have a little more, or no, you can't. And that's been less frustrating for both of us, you know, that we can have that give and take, but he's not constantly taking and I'm not feeling tapped out. So I guess I would just suggest that, you know, if you can wean gradually, that helps a lot.
You are your own best expert on your child. So you know how your child normally reacts to new situations. You know how your child normally reacts when you say no. You know how your child reacts when they are sad or scared or happy or confused or hungry or tired or sick or any of those things. You're the person who knows them best. And so if you keep that in mind, and keep in mind what your child is like, what their basic personality and temperament is like, you will be able to assess their needs and meet their needs, whether that is at the breast or in other ways. And really, I've weaned 2 children now, and I've been a mother for over 7 years, and breastfeeding is fabulous. I'm glad that I did it, but it's really only one small part of my parenting toolbox, and it continues to evolve and grow. So through the weaning process, like through everything, you just have to take it at your own pace, figure out what works for you and your baby or your toddler or your preschooler, and trust in your own parenting and your own parenting instincts.
I think weaning should be something that is approached with the utmost respect for the child and the mother. In the best case scenario, it would be done on the child's timeline, but that's not always going to happen. Make it gentle, make it peaceful, make it something that, takes time. Don't do it overnight. I think ultimately, though, if you are approaching this situation out of respect and out of love, that regardless of the circumstances as to why you're weaning, why you need to wean, or whatever, it's going to be done gently.
I think that weaning is such a personal choice, and it should happen when either mama or baby are ready for it. Also, there are many ways to wean, and I think each mama and baby pair have to explore what's going to be best for them. Just because something worked for so-and-so doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. So you should be open to trying whatever you feel is going to be right for you and for your baby. Also, I think my one big piece of advice from my experience is that if your baby is showing signs of being ready to wean, it's okay. If they're ready, then they're ready, and nothing you do will really change that. They're trying to tell you that it's time. It's going to happen eventually, and it doesn't mean, you did anything wrong or anything like that. So, in my case, I felt pretty guilty when my son weaned so young at 13 months that, I had to come to realize that I shouldn't feel that way, that he was trying to tell me something, and, that's what was right for him. So I guess that's my big piece of advice. Be open to it when it does happen, and just be grateful and look back on the beautiful memories that you created. So I'm still nursing my third baby, and I'm loving it so far. Thankfully, there have been no problems. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, and I look forward to it.
My advice when you are beginning weaning, and if you've decided that you want it to be more mama-led than child-led, is to still follow your child's cues. You are the mama, and you know exactly, you know your child, so you know when they need something, or you know when you're able to direct them gently in a different direction. So read their cues and decide whether or not they really do need to nurse at that time, or if you can redirect them with something different. But at the same time, the process is hard for you as well as it is for your child, because your relationship is evolving. This important part of who you were as a team is being altered. The physical connection that you have when you're nursing your child, it changes more to an emotional one. So just go with the flow.
I don't have any specific gentle weaning advice in regard to how to make it gentle for your child, but in regard to making it gentle for moms who might be caught unexpectedly with the process of weaning for whatever reason, I would just say to make sure that your support system knows how emotional it is, and even how all the hormones that are changing when you're weaning, and to have something suddenly change can just really throw you off kilter. So I would encourage moms to communicate that even beforehand to their support system of, when the time comes for weaning, these are things that I'm going to need, these are things that I'm going to go through, and this is how you can support me through that time. I would also say that if you are in a situation like me, where you continue pumping, I pumped from the end of October to the very end of December when I found out I was pregnant again, and it just became too uncomfortable to continue pumping, and like I said, my freezer was full at that point, so I I would just say don't be too hard on yourself during the weaning process, because it's not something that we have control over. And as long as we approach it with a gentle spirit, where we're doing our very best to take care of our child and what they need at that present moment, that's all that you can do as a mom. And your child will love and respect and honor you for that. And that's a big part of what motherhood is about, is kind of making those sacrifices and focusing on what our child needs instead of necessarily what mama needs.